Good morning and welcome to week 2. We are going to study law of cosines for this week. Now, you had it like the formula, c squared equals a squared plus b squared, which looks a lot like the Pythagorean theorem. But you also have minus 2 times a times b. I should have little dots in there. 2 times a times b times, that's very important, the cosine of angle c. So it looks like something like this, and we're going to do a side angle side. Law of cosines is for side angle side and side side side. There's something special about both that I need to show you just to remind you. Okay, so we're going to do a side angle side problem. So as an example, little a, which is opposite angle A, is given as 12, little b is 14, and angle C is 50 degrees. So we plug it into the formula, and we get c squared. Don't forget, that's when you plug all that in, you get c squared. Don't forget to take the square root, and you get the answer. Now, if angle C is not given and angle A is given, just move the C to one of these and just rearrange this letter. The key is that this side matches that angle. So it could be a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2 times b times c times the cosine of angle A. If A is here, then A is here. That's one of the important things. Now comes the tricky part about side angle side. I'd like to know angle B and angle A. I already know this now is 11.1. So I can go to law of sines. So the sine of angle A divided by 12 is equal to the sine of angle B divided by 14 is equal to the sine of 50 divided by, now I know, 11.1. Now, I want to find angle A and angle B. Obviously, I will cross multiply, and then I will do the subtraction. Now, here's a hint, and it's kind of complicated why this happens. If there's an obtuse angle, you are not actually going to find it using the math. And that's a long story, and I wish I had time in class to do it. I might make another video for you if you care and want to learn why. So here's what I recommend. You see this 12 is smaller than the 14. If you're solving for one of these two, pick the smaller of the two sides. That means angle A is smaller than angle B. Angle A is smaller. Find the smaller of the two angles. Find the smaller. So in this case, you're going to find angle A. So what you want to do is the sine of angle A over 12, so we're going to cross multiply and divide, is equal to 12 times the sine of 50 divided by 11.1. And when we do that, we get 12 times the sine of 50 and divide by 11.1, doing it on my calculator, I get 0.828. Then I need to take the inverse sine of that, don't forget, 0.828. Take the inverse sine of that answer, and I get roughly 56 degrees. So angle A is 56 degrees. By the way, on your homework, please, 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 put a degree symbol with every angle. Put a degree symbol with every angle. The other thing I'd like you to do, excuse me, is highlight all the answers that you're getting so that these old eyes can find them. How do I find angle B? Well, I take the 56 plus the 50, that's 106, and subtract from 180, and I get 74 degrees. So for this problem, I have one side and two angles. Please highlight those. While we're talking about homework, I know you don't think you need to do all the problems, but yes, I'd like you to do all the problems. You have 4 days, count them, four days to do this homework, due Thursday. So please do all the problems and show your work. I know 90% of this is on the calculator, but please show the work. It helps me to understand whether or not you understand. I have something caught in my throat. I'm not coughing because I'm sick. I have something stuck in my throat. So that's side, angle, side. Remember, once you get the side, you're going to jump to the law of sines. Once you do that, make sure you do the smaller of the two angles. The smaller of the two angles. How do I know which one's smaller? Because the side is smaller. I can show you that on another video if you want. Okay? So there's side, angle, side. Side, side, side. We have the same issue of this problem with law of sines, even though we're not doing the law of sines, because you have to worry about that. So I'll get to that in a second. But here's the main thing about law of sines, or side, side, side. Here's the main thing about side, side, side. First of all, we have to check. Let me show you a triangle. Let's say that's 4 and that's 8. And somebody says this is 14. That's not a triangle. And the reason is because if you take that 4 and you actually just lay it down and say that length is 4, and then you take the 8 and you lay it down next to it, 4 plus 8 is 12. How can 4 plus 8 being 12 and this be 14? It's going to stick out. So there's an old theorem in math that we have to worry about, and it basically says the two smallest sides. So side 1 that is small plus side 2 that is small, they have to be greater than the largest side. So in other words, 4 plus 8 is not greater than 14. So this is a big old no. It doesn't make a triangle. All right. So I added a little bit of homework to you from the page, and I'll write those out at the last. So they're going to give you stuff like this. The sides are 5, 11, and 2. Is that a triangle? Well, it doesn't matter what order they're in. You take the two smallest, 5 plus 2, and see if it's bigger than the largest. And in this case, it's no. But if you do something like this, 10, it's not probably showing up very well. 19, so 10, 19, and 14. The two smallest are 10 and 14, which adds to 24, which is bigger than the largest side. So this is a yes, and you can do side, side, side. So that's the first little twist. The second twist is exactly what we talked about last time. So let's say you're given 3 sides. Let's call this A, B, and C. And you're given, this is 10, this is 14, and this is 19. You have a choice of finding an angle. You can find angle A, angle B, and angle C. This time, If you're doing side, 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 this time I would like you to find the largest angle first using law of cosines. Largest angle first. Okay, so it would look like this. 19 squared is equal to 10 squared plus 14 squared minus 2 times 10 times 14 times the cosine of angle B. I'm looking for B. So this is opposite B. Now there's some mistakes that people make when they do this. We're going to do 19 squared on a calculator. We're going to get all these numbers. 19 squared. I probably should have all these done. That's 361 is equal to 10 squared plus 14 squared. I'm going to do that together. And that's 296 minus 2 times 10 times 14. This is 280 times the cosine of angle B. Here's where people make their mistake. Do not subtract these. Do not subtract these. There's a multiplication symbol here. You cannot subtract before you multiply. We will subtract 296 from both sides. That goes away. So 361 minus 296, that is 65. I might move over here, so be ready. Can you see that? I'm looking. Yeah, you can see it. Okay, so 65 is equal to negative 280 times the cosine of angle B. That's okay. So we take the 65 and we divide by negative 280. I'm moving over here. Negative 0.232 is equal to the cosine of angle B. Take the inverse cosine of both sides. So if we take the inverse cosine of that, we get 103 degrees. So angle B is 103 degrees. And you can round angles to the nearest 1 degree. All right, so we've got that. If you would have done this differently and solved for one of these, you might have gotten, let's see, it would be 77 degrees. It's really weird how that works. But this is the hint. Always try to find the angle opposite the largest side first. Now we can jump to law of sines. Now we can jump to law of sines. Oh boy, I just erased everything. Let's see if I can remember. Angle A. Oh boy. Let's see. Angle A, I do not know. And little a was 10. And I do know B now, which is 103 degrees, and that was 19. And C, I do not know, and that was 14. I might have these two backwards. So now I can do the cross multiplication and solve it for angle A. So what we would get is angle A and angle B or C over here and angle B over here. Do not forget to do the degree symbols for your angles. I'll do that really quick. Let's see. It's the sine of 103 times 10, and then divide that by 19, and then take the inverse sine of that. And I get 31 degrees for angle A, and then you can subtract if you want, or you can solve it either way. 31 plus 103 is 134. 180, 34 would be 46. 77 plus that is 180. All right, so your homework. has changed just a little, nothing too major. It's still page 448. It's still what it's listed. It says 2 through 16 and do the evens. And then I'm adding 21 through 26. All those are yes or no's. Yes or no's. Do not worry about finding the area using Huron's formula. Do not worry about that. And then we got some word problems. 38, 39, 40, and 50. That's a comma. Okay, so that's your homework. It's due Thursday. Whoops, I got to get better at this. That's all. Thank you. Have a good day. No. Have a good day. You got to have some fun.